and a youngster who's certainly being talked about with plenty of enthusiasm coming through the Chelsea ranks, Ryan Kavuma-McQueen. He completes the Chelsea bench today. Port Vale, remember, bottom of League One, into the quarter-finals for just the second time ever and the first time in 72 years. They were beaten 4-0 away at Wycombe Wanderers last weekend. They've made 4 changes this afternoon, including the return of the hero of round 5, Ben Waine, Newcastle United supporter who scored the winner at Vale Park against Sunderland. He starts today. Walters, Sharif on loan from Everton, and Liam Gordon also come in. George Hall, Headley, Shipley and Archer are the 4 to drop out for Port Vale, who have Joe Gauci in goal. They will play a back 5, Gabriel, John, Humphreys, Connor Hall and Gordon, with 4 in front of them, Sharif, Ojo, Garrity the captain and Walters. Waine will play the lone striking role up front.
Joe, thank you very much. That was all thanks to McDonald's.
FA Cup preview on TalkSport with McDonald's. The Big Arch is here to stay at McDonald's with its very own delicious sauce. Available from 11 a.m, subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
Nearest Toyota Centre. Price from 29995. Available on Toyota PCP when financed through Toyota Financial Services by 30th of June 2026. Optional final payment. Indemnities may be required. See website conditions apply.
Go from someday to sunny days in Greece with package holidays from £329 per person. So stop dreaming of souvlaki. Stop scrolling crystal clear beaches. Search EasyJet Holidays and get your holiday in Greece sorted today. Get out there. Selected dates April to September. Limited availability. ATOL protected. T's and C's apply.
This week at Morrison's. Save 25% on selected wine and fizz when you buy 6 bottles or more with your More card, including champagne. Choose from your favourite brands like Mudhouse Sauvignon Blanc, 19 Crimes Red, Le Vieille Ferme Rosé, the best Prosecco, Trevento Malbec, phew, and more. Go on, it's Easter. Pour us a tipple.
Morrison's to shop at Morrison's.
Majority of stores, max 36. Excludes Scotland and Morrison's Daily. More card app required 18 plus. Selected 75 centilitre bottles. Online varies. End 6th of April. Please drink responsibly.
King of football commentary.
FA Cup Game Day live on TalkSport.
It's been quite a month for Chelsea. Knocked out of the Champions League, falling out of the top 5 following successive Premier League defeats, add in player discontent as well. Maybe today is a chance to put some confidence back into the team, with the lowest ranked side still left in the competition making the trip to the bridge in the FA Cup. It has been a difficult season for Port Vale in League One since promotion, and looks as though they're heading straight back down. But the FA Cup has provided some relief as they have reached the quarter-finals for the first time in over 70 years. It's Chelsea against Port Vale in the FA Cup quarter-finals, live on TalkSport.
Here is João Pedro for Chelsea, dribbling towards the edge of the penalty area, onto his right foot, he shoots and seals it for Chelsea.
The owners of the football club are the ones that determine what success is and what they measure it by. What they're saying is, we are going to build with this manager, try and give him an opportunity to be successful.
Waine has scored! He's done it again in the FA Cup. It's Port Vale, bottom of League One, leading Sunderland.
And it's been really about creating a connection within the group, and I feel you can see we're starting to do that. They're running for each other and they're working hard for each other, and I think that's been really important, and the difference to the change in what we've done.
Kickoff then is at 5:15 here at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea look to reach the semi-finals of the FA Cup for the first time in 2 years. And as for Port Vale, well, you have to go back to 1954 for the last time they reached the semi-final, 72 years ago. But the Vale have travelled with numbers. 6,000 of them have made the trip down south to Stamford Bridge, and they are in good voice, it has to be said. They really did cheer off their team as they just went off. And they're providing much of the atmosphere here at Stamford Bridge as well. You can't blame them, because in League One it's been a torrid time for them. They've only won 7 games all season in the league, but the FA Cup has been quite a journey for them. 5 wins then in a row, and let's not forget they knocked out Sunderland in the last round at Vale Park. Ben Waine, the star of the show really, for Port Vale. He scored the winner against Sunderland, as he did in the previous round against Bristol City as well. And Chelsea, well, they might have to be wary of what he might bring to the game today. A round of applause going out around the ground now in recognition of goalkeeper Tony Gordon, who passed away recently, and nicely observed by those here at the Bridge. Chelsea have gone pretty strong with their team lineup. It's only Marc Cucurella and Moises Caicedo who drop out of the team that faced Everton, albeit they were humbly beaten by Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. I want to speak to Scott Minto, former Chelsea defender, who is part of our commentary team this afternoon, about really the form of Cole Palmer and how Chelsea could potentially get him back to being at his best once more. I know Rosenior has played him out on the right, he's played him as a 10, he's playing as a right. Today we expect, would you say?
I'd say he'd probably be in the middle.
Might be in the middle.
Pedro Neto on one side and Esteval on the other.
Oh, you're right, sorry, of course. But what can you put it down to with the lack of consistency? I know he's had some injuries, but we're still not seeing the best of Cole Palmer.
No, I don't think he's 100% fit. Again, we talk about, people could turn around and say, oh, they're footballers and they can be looked after 24/7. Absolutely, but if you're not right at this level of football now, this is the elite of the elite when you're playing Premier League football and internationals as well. If you're not bang on it from a physical point of view, you're not able to push off, you're not able to get that extra yard. He's quicker than you think. And even just receiving the ball and on the half turn and knowing where everyone is, when you're fit and in that zone, you're bang on it. I was here for the Bournemouth game when he was taken off at 2-2 and Enzo Maresca was getting shouts of, you don't know what you're doing. Now, since then, we found out that actually there's a member of the medical staff on the bench almost, should we say, advising head coaches, how long they should last. Look, the answer is he needs as many 90 minutes as possible. But clearly, the medical side is very, very important because you don't want him breaking down and going back to square one. But the moment he's got 4, 5, 6, 90-minute performances behind him, then I think we'll see the better. I think we've seen some games. I mean, the Leeds one, even though he missed that sitter at the last minute, I thought he was excellent. There's been a couple of others as well. I thought he came off the bench against Uruguay and looked really good. But until he's 100% fit, you're not going to see the best of him, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to live, breathe, and try and get fit for being out there on the pitch. And the moment he is 100% fit, I think we'll see the Cole Palmer that we've seen for 2 years.
Yeah. It's hard, obviously, when you're not getting a rhythm, which is clearly what we're seeing with Cole Palmer. You're not going to get the best out of him, unfortunately. And another issue you could say for Chelsea this season has been in defence. It's kind of been jigged around by Liam Rosenior. Injuries also haven't helped him.
Yeah, I think there's been injuries. It doesn't help when you've got about 85 centre-halves to sort of choose from. And sometimes when you've played the centre-halves, actually some of them have done particularly well. I've been quite critical of Wes Fofana because I know how good he can be, but he's made mistakes. So the Newcastle goal, I thought you could say he was a mistake for every one of the Everton goals as well. And you just want him to be switched on. One thing that I would say about Stamford Bridge is this season they've dropped far too many points from winning positions. So even when they've gone ahead, and normally that first goal is so important, and then you can dictate the tempo of the game how you want to. But no, they've been dropping points and they've been allowing teams to come back into it. So that's not just a back four point of view. That's a whole team point of view. But again, Robert Sanchez, he's not a Chelsea goalkeeper. The back four, I think Marco Correa and obviously Reece James and even Malagusto, I think are very, very good. But in terms of centre-halves, I like Trevor Chalobah. Levi Colwell's been injured, but you just need that almost Thiago Silva in there as well, just to calm everyone down and to direct people, communicate. And I don't think there's enough of that. And that's, again, what I'm talking about, the senior pros, the leaders, they do that.
Yeah. Well, there's never a dull moment in SW6, and unfortunately the turbulence isn't doing much to allow Liam Rosenior a steady step up from Strasbourg to the melting pot of Stamford Bridge. It certainly has been a troubling few weeks for the Blues.
It's 3-0. Cue the mass exodus from Stamford Bridge of Chelsea fans, and no respect shown by Paris Saint-Germain as they came here and extended the aggregate lead to 8-2, making it Chelsea's worst ever European night.
Their intention, their devout intention, is to give this manager enough opportunity to be judged by 2027. Now, if the manager creates an absolute mess of the place, and they're sitting in Tottenham's position this time next year, he won't be in the job.
Chelsea 4 defeats in a row in the league for the first time since 2023. They are in a real rut at the moment, and it's difficult to see how they pull out of it. Everton 3, Chelsea 0.
OK, great, you tried it hasn't worked. It's been a distinct failure, a proven failure. Now get him out of the club and get a proper manager in.
When you're away on international duty, talk about your national team. Leave Chelsea out at the moment.
Marc Cucurella is the winner because he's got away scot-free.
I spoke with Enzo an hour ago. He won't be available for tomorrow's game and he won't be available for Manchester City.
I'm seeing them as senior players in that squad and they are talking like that. I just think it's a little bit, it doesn't sit right with me.
So it's not been the easiest of rides so far for Liam Rosenior, but he has got his team into the quarter-finals of this FA Cup and looking to reach the last 4 for the first time in 2 years. And let's not forget, of course, they have been prolific in winning this competition, but you have to go back to 2018. 8 times winners, Chelsea are, of the FA Cup, and you are one of those winners. Just tell us what that's like to be an FA Cup winner, Scott Minto.
Yeah, honestly now, it's an incredibly proud thing to think, and I still don't even really think about it now, but perhaps I should do really, because again, it's not necessarily that I've won it, but the 70s and 80s, it was that one big day of the whole of the season where the best team won the league, but actually the biggest day was the FA Cup final. And for me to have achieved that and been there, and everything just went really well. Robbie Di Matteo's early goal after 40-odd seconds, I felt I played well, so I was happy as well, but it was all about the team. And it was the first major trophy Chelsea won in 26 years. And it was the start of it, really. Glenn started it, Glenn Hoddle, then Rui took over, Luca then carried it on, and obviously once Roman Abramovich came in, they became one of the biggest and best teams in Europe. So very, very proud achievement and proud to have been there.
That was back in 1997 when you were part of that FA Cup winning team, and you can hear the atmosphere really starting to build here once more. And a tifo of Ray Butch Wilkins, one of our own, is now making its way around the Matthew Harding lower end. And yes, I think it's the anniversary of his passing, isn't it? And hence why they've decided to do this wonderful tifo in memory of a legend, of Talk Sport's very own Ray Wilkins as well, very much a friend of Talk Sport. Scott, get your final thoughts then really ahead of this one. And as we've mentioned already by looking at the team news, Liam Rosenior has gone pretty strong with his side, which sends a real positive message to everybody about how important this game is and how important it is for these players to get themselves back into form and get back some confidence that's clearly been lacking of late.
Yeah, very quick one on Ray. Just an amazing player, but amazing person as well. The last time I saw him was outside Stamford Bridge. It was raining. I was walking to a game with my dad, and he was just standing there talking. And in the end, I said, Ray, don't get wet. You know, you haven't got a big coat on. Just an amazing person, human being as well as player. But yes, do you know what Liam has done? He's been right in doing it and very clever as well. He's now put it onto the players. This is as strong as he could possibly get, apart from maybe Cucurella and Caicedo. The fans can't have a go at him if they don't perform here today. Strong team, go out and put a strong performance.
The teams are making their way out right now as well, and you can hear how it's really ramped up in here. It's a game that the Chelsea fans expect a performance from. They expect their team to win this one pretty comfortably, but as we know, Port Vale have certainly enjoyed their cup run and have knocked out Premier League opposition before. That coming at home to Sunderland in the last round. But they'll look to cause a shock once more if they possibly can. Let's hand you then over to your commentary team then, ahead of Chelsea against Port Vale. The former Chelsea defender Scott Minto is alongside Joe Shannon.
Thank you, Natalie, and welcome to Stamford Bridge, where one of the greatest shocks in FA Cup history is a possibility here today. Port Vale's first quarter-final for generations. The team bottom of League One, having defied the odds and already beaten Premier League opposition in Sunderland to get this far. Valiant they have been, but this is by far the toughest test of an already remarkable cup run. For Chelsea, well, it should be routine, but preparation has been anything but. These do feel like troubled times for Liam Rosenior. For Chelsea, defeat today is unthinkable. And the first thing really that you have to acknowledge is the noise and the vibrancy of the 6,000 travelling fans who've made the trip from Staffordshire and have packed out the shed end away to our left-hand side. Good noise from the home support as well. Sanchez is the Chelsea goalkeeper. Gusto, Fofana, Tosin and Hato, Lavia and Santos, Esteval, Palmer and Pedro Neto behind João Pedro up front. And for Port Vale, the goalkeeper is Gauci. Gabriel, John, Humphreys, Connor Hall and Gordon are all at the back. Ojo, Garrity and Walters in midfield, with Sharif expected to try and get forward in support of Ben Waine, the hero, the match winner against Sunderland in round 5 whenever he can, and that may not be very often, of course. Scott Minto, can you make any case for a shock today? It is the FA Cup after all.
I don't want to, because I, you know, from a personal point of view, I want Chelsea to go through. But what I would say is I promise to be absolutely impartial. This is a great opportunity for Port Vale. They've got absolutely nothing to lose at all. You know, they are going down, unfortunately, to League Two, and they'll have to lick the wounds with that. But it's been an incredible journey so far. The only thing I would say is they've always been playing at home. Very different to play away and on a pitch like it is at Stamford Bridge, not at their Vale Park. But as I say, if they keep it quiet, Jace Cundy said the same thing, if they keep it quiet for 20-30 minutes, these fans will not be happy with that at all, and maybe, just maybe, they can create a shock. And the only way I think they can do it is perhaps to draw and go and win on penalties, but we've seen shocks before.
We certainly have, and that's the beauty of club football's greatest domestic cup competition. We know that Manchester City are already there, who will reach Wembley potentially to join them. Chelsea and Port Vale do battle here at Stamford Bridge on a cloudy afternoon, late afternoon in West London, and Port Vale, bottom of League One, get the game off and underway. Port Vale in the white shirts, black shorts and black socks. Chelsea all in royal blue with white socks, and Port Vale immediately win the ball back high up the field with Liam Gordon, the wing back, out on the left-hand side. Port Vale playing from left to right in the first half towards the Matthew Harding end. Chelsea attacking the shed end, and already Port Vale are exposed at the back here. Into the penalty area is Pedro Neto, teeing up Palmer. Palmer right edge of the penalty area. Back to Pedro Neto again. Little flick into the path of Malo Gusto, who tries the cross. And Chelsea win the first corner of the game inside the first 40 seconds in front of those massed ranks of travelling fans.
Yeah, positive start from Chelsea. Almost a counter-attack, wasn't it? That's not something Port Vale can allow. They've got 3 at the back. They've got to make sure it's 5 at the back, and Chelsea aren't able to use the pace of Esteval and Pedro Neto down the wings.
Corner to Chelsea, hoisted into the penalty area. Goalkeeper tries to punch it away, and it's turned in by Hato, and Chelsea lead after 1 minute and 6 seconds. The worst possible start for League One Port Vale. Chelsea race into an early lead with their first serious attack. Goalkeeper Gauci tried to punch the corner clear. He couldn't do so effectively enough. And Joral Hato, who scored a stunner at Charlton in the FA Cup in the 3rd round, has scored here easily in the quarter-final. And it's Chelsea 1, Port Vale 0 already. Nightmare for the visitors.
Well, look, if you're coming up against the big boys, and especially if you're away from home, 2 things. 1, don't concede early, and 2, if you're opened up by a bit of brilliance, that's one thing. If it's just a set piece, you should be able to deal with that. And actually, you know, people give Arsenal stick for being a set piece FC. Well, Chelsea get the ball in the right areas, make sure there's numbers there. Gauci wasn't able to get rid of it. And in the end, Joral Hato, well, he scored against Charlton in the FA Cup, and he scored again here. It's the perfect start for Chelsea. It's an absolute nightmare start for Port Vale, and they need to make sure they don't concede that second now.
Gordon with a low shot for them, and he does drag it wide, and you can hear the ironic cheers of the Chelsea supporters. Everything that John Brady, the Port Vale manager, who's standing down below us in the very foot of the main stand, arms folded. Everything that he would have envisaged before the game has already virtually gone out of the window. Chelsea 1, Port Vale 0, live here on Talk Sport.
Look, in a way, everything goes out the window in terms of keeping that clean sheet as long as possible, but the plan is the same. It's still plan A. Make sure you sort of don't concede another goal. 2-0, and Port Vale are not going to come back from this. Chelsea have got the start they wanted. They look confident, but make sure you're defensively strong, and that's something Port Vale didn't do. One, in terms of the lead up to the corner, and secondly, the corner itself.
Port Vale, who were into the quarter-finals for the first time in 72 years, and already they trailed by a goal to nil. And Chelsea are on the attack again. Fleet-footed Malo Gusto. Palmer! Blocked off by the defender. And Walters will stab the ball high up into the air. Port Vale are hanging on here already. This could get very embarrassing if the early stages of this game are anything to go by, because Chelsea, all in their royal blue, are ripping Port Vale to shreds. And the team, bottom of League One, it feels like they're still in the dressing room at the moment. They haven't got started in the game at all. They barely had a kick, and Chelsea are all over them, utterly dominant. And Scott Minto looking for a second goal, which would, in effect, kill off the tie already.
Yeah, I mean, look, Port Vale came here really early, didn't they? We talked about that bit beforehand, and they were on the pitch 2 hours before kickoff. I hope they weren't overawed completely by what they saw, because now you've got a packed Stamford Bridge. We're conceding so early. Chelsea have been so much under pressure. We spent so long talking about it. You need to keep that pressure on them as much as possible. So concede so early, it is absolutely the nightmare start. But just put that to one side now and make sure you don't concede a second.
Scott Minto, FA Cup winner with Chelsea in the mid-1990s, is with us this evening on Talk Sport. Palmer rolls the ball wide left to Estevao. A few Chelsea fans in front of us here in the upper tier of the main stand are only just arriving. They've already missed the opening goal. Palmer's touch to João Pedro, edge of the D. Back to Lavia with the red boots on, and Chelsea are popping the ball about very nicely in this 5th minute of the game, already leading by a goal to nil. Pedro Neto with the weaving footwork, gets beyond Gordon, whips in the cross, header away by Kyle John for Port Vale, and now Jordan Gabriel, the right back, is going to try and let it trickle out of play, which he does in front of the challenge of Estevao, and Port Vale have a goal kick. What do they have to do to try and get a foothold in this FA Cup quarter-final, Scott?
To be honest with you, they just need to calm down. I can't even say they've got to keep the ball, because they don't even really do that in League One. As I say, they're the bottom team in League One. They are going down. They know Chelsea will have the ball. That's fine. You know, you've just conceded the goal, the last thing you wanted to happen, but just keep things tight. It's not about get hold of the ball and pass it around Chelsea, because Chelsea have better individual players. But this is exactly what Liam wanted. Pick a strong side, start on the front foot, and he wasn't necessarily expecting a corner and João Hato to score the first goal.
It's all Chelsea, and they must have had 90-95% of the possession in these early stages at Stamford Bridge.
But that's okay from Port Vale's point of view. That's expected. It's not a problem. Just, you know, you're waiting for Chelsea to make a mistake, you nick the ball, and maybe you can get a counter-attack or even a corner yourself. It's okay if Chelsea have a lot of the ball. You will be under pressure, but do not concede that second goal.
Chelsea, who have progressed from their last 25 FA Cup ties against lower league opposition coming into today, since that infamous defeat to Bradford City over 10 years ago now. January of 2015 as it was. Lavia in possession on the halfway line, and back from Fofana to goalkeeper Sanchez, all in bright orange. Funso Ojo chasing shadows in the middle of midfield for Port Vale, who haven't had a foot on the ball at all yet so far, and as Scott Minto says, that wouldn't necessarily matter if they hadn't conceded from that set piece with just over a minute gone. Reverse ball, Pedro Neto down the inside right, thundered upfield by Connor Hall of Port Vale, big centre half, wins it back on the halfway line, gives it away to Hato inside the centre circle. Can Chelsea build on the opening goal? That's one of the big early questions in this game. You're with Talk Sport, Chelsea lead 1-0. Estevao marauding infield towards the edge of the D, back out left is Palmer. Palmer's first time cross is well charged down by Kyle John. Gabriel wants one touch too many, goes down under the challenge of João Pedro and gets the free kick, a little fortuitously in front of the shed end. There are a lot of spectators here high up in the upper tier who have already missed that opening goal. Scott Minter.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for the Port Vale fans because they, even before the game were making so much noise, but they're not expected to get anything out of it. We still don't know what's going to happen from now to the end of the game, but it's almost like those, again, Jace mentioned it, I mentioned it, the first 20 minutes, the most crucial. Is the worst possible start, but make sure you're very, very solid. Leading to the corner, it was 3 at the back, not 5. The wing-backs had pushed on. You don't need to do that. Drop off, make sure there's no spaces for the wide players to get on the ball. And what Chelsea are doing, one, Cole Palmer's getting on the ball, and he seems to be enjoying himself today, but they're also getting the ball out wide to Esteval, but especially to Pedro Neto, with Malagusto running down the outside, so they need help down the wings.
I can see Liam Rosenia in the tiny technical area here at Stamford Bridge, hands in his pockets, casually dressed and looking very relaxed, with Chelsea already a goal to the good. The ball is hooked over his shoulder by Andres Santos. It's quite overcast and mild here today. Free kick to Chelsea, shy of halfway. Palmer, almost nonchalant, tried to take it quickly, but the referee has pulled it back because he thought there was a potential head injury to João Pedro, who's actually quickly to his feet. Chelsea will get it back again. Well, at the moment, you look across the back line for Port Vale, it's a flat 5, 4 in front of them, and Sharif furthest forward, with Wayne pulling out to the left-hand side. Sanchez under a bit of pressure here from Sharif, manages to manoeuvre the ball into the path of Tosin. An inelegance about Chelsea there, and we've seen that time and time again from Chelsea this season, not just against Premier League and Champions League opposition, but for a moment there in the FA Cup against Port Vale.
Yeah, look, the aim is to suck the players on and then you play round them, so Chelsea fans will be nervous because Robert Sanchez is not ideal at that, but it will happen.
Good ball, Lavia, angled out to the right-hand side, wide position, Pedro Neto, little cushioned header down the inside right, and Malagusto's chasing. Liam Gordon is going to try and shepherd the ball out of play, and he does that successfully. Gordon, who joined the club last summer from Walsall. Not many household names in this Port Vale team, it has to be said. Ben Waine is the most notable, the New Zealander who flew back from international duty in Auckland to be part of proceedings today. I'm not saying he's going to be regretting that already, Scott, but they are 1-0 down. They look like Port Vale that 10 minutes in, they're finally starting to settle into the game a bit.
Yeah, they look nervous, didn't they? They looked overawed in the first few minutes, and now it looks like they're sort of getting a little bit more of their game, which is, again, without the ball, but make sure you're well organised. If you can press when you can, Robert Sanchez might give you something. That is the aim, though, for goalkeepers to suck these defenders in.
Good work by Sharif, winning the ball in the right wing position. Burley, tall centre forward, playing it back now to Walters. Low ball in, and Wayne didn't go for it at the back post. He tried a cross-come shot there, did Walters. I think he was going for goal, but he mishit it. The ball trickled along the edge of the 6-yard box, and Wayne, who so often has been the fox in the box for Port Vale over the course of this FA Cup run, didn't anticipate it.
That's a chance. You're not going to get many chances here, and you're 1-0 down already. And I agree with you, that was a shot from Walters, but you've got to be, if you're at the far post, just gambling. What if it somehow skews it a bit, like he did, be at the end, and Malagusto hadn't read it, and if Ben Waine had, then I'm not saying it would have been a simple tap-in, but it just would have been a first-time strike with only the keeper to beat.
Easter weekend and FA Cup quarter-final weekend. We'll have Southampton against Arsenal at 8 o'clock tonight on Talk Sport, and then tomorrow afternoon West Ham against Leeds United. Then the EFL takes centre stage again on Easter Monday. Portsmouth against Oxford, Ipswich against Birmingham, Swansea against Middlesbrough, and Hull against Coventry. The best way to be across all of that action is to download our free app. Lovely ball flighted up the right by Malagusto, chasing his Pedro Neto, sprightly across the turf, but beaten in the air by Connor Hall, who'll thunder the ball out of play, and it's a Chelsea throw about 10 yards from the corner flag on the far side of the field. There's a little gap in the stand. You can see some of the distant buildings of West London here, and the sun is trying to poke its way through. Chelsea have possession with Fofana on the halfway line, and actually that early goal is just what Liam Rosenia would have been hoping for. We spoke about the potential difficulty of the opening 20-30 minutes or so for Chelsea. Well, that's been negated entirely by Jorrel Hatto's opener, Scott Minter.
You're absolutely right. The only thing I'd say is go out and get the second goal. I was here a few weeks back with the Burnley game, where João Pedro scored very early on. And then it was almost, because Burnley defended really well, and they almost sucked them into playing like second gear for the rest of the game. And in the last 20 minutes, West Fofana got sent off, and then suddenly they're on the front foot, got the late equaliser. It's the last thing Chelsea want here. Doesn't matter who you're playing against, all the while it's 1-0, the opposition is still in the game.
Lavia just shy of the halfway line, bit of strapping on his left wrist. Lavia, who unfortunately has been somewhat injury prone throughout his young career so far, but is having a decent spell of starts in the Chelsea team. 4 defeats in a row for Chelsea coming into today. Chelsea lead Port Vale by a 1-0, this in the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Early ball through the middle by Tosin. Out comes Joe Gauci, the goalkeeper. 6'6", all in green. On loan from Aston Villa, and he was first to the ball. Did effectively enough there. Gordon back to Connor Hall, and Hall with a raking pass, thumped upfield, and he's sliced that straight out of play. It's a Chelsea throw in front of the West Stand on the far side there. Right. Nearly a quarter of an hour gone. Yet to really feel like a cup tie this game. Port Vale starting so slowly. And Chelsea with that attacking intent in the first couple of minutes. And Port Vale are just trying to recover some of their composure here. Live on TalkSport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m. 18+. Fees apply to delivery orders. Subject to availability and price may vary. We saw Manchester City beat Liverpool 4-0 earlier today, live and exclusive on TalkSport. A hat-trick for Erling Haaland. Steven Gerrard, Liverpool fans, is on breakfast from 6 a.m. next Tuesday. 6 till 10 on TalkSport is our regular slot for the breakfast show, and Steven Gerrard will be one of our guests on Tuesday morning. Here is Garrity, the Port Vale captain, halfway line, angled ball out to the right-hand side. Crossing the halfway line is Gabriel, and he was caught late by Esteval, the teenager, with a rather clumsy challenge, and the referee, arms outstretched as if to say, well, what option did you give me? And it will be a Port Vale set piece, a free kick, midway into the Chelsea half, and maybe this is one of the few ways in which they can get at Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't try and play pretty football and try and pass around Chelsea. You're sort of halfway inside Chelsea's half, right on the touchline, but stick the ball in the mixer and try and win the knockdowns and see what happens. It's not what Chelsea want, so when you haven't got the players to creatively open up opportunities, so yeah, just go a bit old school.
Why not? This is how they scored the only goal of the game against Sunderland. In fact, that early goal that they've conceded, Port Vale, here in the FA Cup today, is just the second they've conceded in the FA Cup this season. The only other was to Malden and Tiptree, the non-league team from the 7th tier. They came from behind to win 5-1 that day.
I was just about to say, they're not going to do that today.
I'm not suggesting that'll happen this afternoon, but you never know.
Well, all they need is 1-1 and take it to penalties.
Free kick to Port Vale. There is still a long way to go in the cup tie. Quarter an hour gone. Humphreys pings it high on the diagonal. Up goes Connor Hall, and that touch was off the Port Vale defender last, and it'll be a goal kick to Chelsea in front of the Matthew Harding end away to our right.
Right idea, though. Did exactly what we said and just pinged the ball in. It was a really good cross, actually. You know, the defender was able to get there first and have the header on target, so he personally will have gained a little bit of confidence, thinking I can get above the Chelsea defence.
Connor Hall, a former FA Trophy winner in his career when he was at Harrogate Town. Port Vale's number 5. Chelsea have possession back now with the tall and slender Tosin. Up to the captain for the day, Cole Palmer.
And Connor Hall, he's got a really good left foot, but he is the one being asked to go in and drop off if Cole Palmer is dropping off himself.
Good reverse ball, Malo Gusto into the inside right channel, and João Pedro is flagged offside. Ironic cheers from the away support, who are certainly enjoying their day so far. When I arrived at the stadium about 3.5 hours ago, there were already plenty of Port Vale supporters taking in their surroundings, and why not? Whatever happens, it's been a remarkable cup run in their 150th anniversary season. Even if they go down, it's a season that they'll have plenty of positive memories from.
Well, I think in terms of the FA Cup for sure, and look, I think about par is probably 4-0 when you think about their bottom club of League One. So I'm sure, unless there's a 7 or 8, they'll still probably, be screaming and shouting and enjoying themselves. But this is a day out to enjoy. No one expects Port Vale to win. So why not just enjoy yourselves, support the team, shout and scream in their favour as much as you possibly can, and if it ends up being 4-0, then that is about par.
At the moment, it's 1-0 to Chelsea. Live on TalkSport, header on by Sharif down the middle. And sandwiched in between two blue shirts. Hato, the goal scorer, and Tosin coming across. The ball is back with Chelsea in the right full-back position of Malo Gusto. Just a little passive in the last couple of moments, maybe. Chelsea. Port Vale have had a little bit of possession in the game.
Well, this is what I was talking about with the Burnley game as well. You score the early goal and suddenly the pressure's off a little bit, but actually you need to keep on playing with that kind of feeling, that pressure. And there's a real balance between not being under too much that you don't play to your game, but if you think this is going to be easy and you drop off, suddenly 20-30 minutes has passed, the scoreline's the same, and it goes to half-time 1-0. And the fans are thinking, well, where does that second goal come from? Or should be coming from?
Lavia and Ojo colliding about 10 yards into the Chelsea half off the ball. It looked like a totally unnecessary challenge. Referee has given the free kick to Chelsea, and actually play goes on without any further punishment. Lavia, midway inside his own half the field. Angled ball threaded to the right-hand side, and Pedro Neto, the number 7, takes up possession. And Chelsea look a threat, particularly down their right so far today. 19 minutes gone and quite a leisurely atmosphere around the ground with Chelsea in command. Reverse ball by Malo Gusto to Pedro Neto, out to the right, poking the ball to the feet of Palmer. Palmer with that elegant touch of the ball to find Andre Santos, and now Gusto back to Tosin, 10 yards shy of the halfway line. Tosin plays it square to the feet of Wesley Fofana. Out on the right is Palmer again, shuffling infield and finding Lavia once more. The only enemy for Chelsea here surely is complacency now that they've taken the lead. Header by Hato infield, intercepted by Walters, and Walters is caught by Lavia. That was a late challenge, a clumsy one, a foul right in front of the referee Farai Halam, and he's going to let Lavia get away without any further punishment.
Yeah, you're right, it was clumsy, and he was the one who absolutely fizzed the ball into Esteval on his chest, and he wasn't able to properly get that under control, and then he's given that foul away there. And look, we're 20 minutes in, probably expected this to be 1-0. So Port Vale, after that initial really bad start, have done really well, and now they seem to be not just not under pressure down their end, but having quite a few set pieces down the other.
Port Vale in the black and white. Free kick just outside the centre circle, drifted forward by Humphreys, header away by Tosin of Chelsea. The flag is up on the near side, that quartered flag, and there'll be a free kick to Chelsea for an offside right on the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. And just moments of sloppiness for Chelsea in the game at times, and that would encourage John Brady, who's standing watching the game from the edge of the technical area. There's a very steep drop to the near side touchline down below as we're right at the very back. A bird's eye view of what's going on. Toss into Santos, back now to Sanchez, all in bright orange, and he takes an age with the clearance, Sanchez, and nearly was blocked off by Sharif. It's sliced out of play every time he gets the ball at his feet, Sanchez. He just looks like a liability for me.
He's being asked to do something he's not comfortable in doing. Enzo Maresca initially asked him to do it, then realised probably about March time at the end of last season, right, do you know what, it's probably best not to happen because everybody's getting nervous, the whole of Stamford Bridge. And actually he made fewer mistakes off the back of that. Liam's asking him to do that here, and yeah, it's certainly not his strong point, that's for sure. Makes everyone nervous.
You just wonder, it's so baffling, why persist with something that clearly doesn't work or isn't in your interest?
Because I agree with you, it's a style of play that managers, certainly the modern day manager, want to do with playing the ball out from the back, but for the greatest of respect, if your keeper's not good at that, you can't ask him to do that. Now, I think Chelsea finished last season really well because one of the reasons, major reasons, they stopped asking him to do that.
Palmer, 25 yards out, onto the left foot here, force wide, looks for Esteval, undercooks the pass. Gabriel makes a half challenge. Esteval with those weaving feet has got it back, and he tries to turn away from Gabriel, goes down by the corner flag. Gabriel gets the better of him. Big cheers from the Port Vale fans at the shed end. Applause from one or two of Jordan Gabriel's teammates. I don't think they're that impressed with what Esteval was doing there, going down, trying to win a free kick.
Listen, I think that was just pure strength. And let me tell you, from a fullback's point of view, especially if you're coming up against a superstar, if he's not already a superstar, then definitely a potential superstar, he will gain so much confidence from that. and great to do it in front of your own fans as well.
Well, this is only the 5th time that Esteval's played since the end of January. He has had injury problems. He was a real star, wasn't he, earlier on in the season for Chelsea. That goal against Barcelona here in particular in the Champions League. Chelsea's race very much run now in that competition, of course. Ben Way in for Port Vale, trying to hold the ball up in the left wing position on the far side. Lavia comes across and it bounces out of play. Not a lot happening in the game at the moment. Midway through the opening half, Chelsea 1, Port Vale 0. The sun has come out at Stamford Bridge, but there's quite a languid, slow pace to the game at the moment.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same, Joe. We're halfway through the first half. It's 1-0, and if the goal had just come now, then people would have said, well, you'd expect Chelsea to be at least 1-0 up. Now, Port Vale would be very happy with how this has gone. Take away the first sort of minute or so, and obviously you can't in terms of the scoreline, but 1-0 up, they're gaining more and more in confidence. Chelsea aren't opening them up in the way that we feel that they should be. It's a strong team that's picked, and yes, it feels like they're almost still, because of that early goal, they've dropped down from straight away 4th gear down to 2nd.
Here is Esteval, one-on-one with Gabriel again, gives it away on the halfway line to Walters. Reece Walters, lovely footwork beyond Andre Santos. Across comes Lavia with another challenge, robust once again. This time Port Vale don't get the free kick. He looks a lively player, does Reece Walters, the young man who's come through the youth system here at Port Vale. Dancing footwork there momentarily. Palmer shrugged aside on the halfway line for Chelsea, surrounded by white shirts, but Chelsea actually quickly win it back. Lavia's angled ball out to the right-hand side, and Pedro Neto in a one-on-one with Gordon. He tries to scamper infield, nudges it backwards to Lavia, square to Andre Santos, forward through the gap to Pedro Neto, in behind the midfield and back line. Out on the right-hand side is Malo Gusto. Good football by Chelsea, who lead by a goal to 0. You're listening to Talk Sport, live from the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. Manchester City 4-0 winners over Liverpool earlier today. Southampton against Arsenal to come. Pedro Neto's cross. João Pedro back to goal. Must score. Does score. 2-0 Chelsea. And that's probably that. João Pedro spinning, twisting, turning on the edge of the 6-yard box. Tucks it home very nicely. And Chelsea are heading for yet another date at Wembley Stadium. Chelsea 2, Port Vale 0.
Well, look, just as we're saying, Port Vale will be really happy with how the first 20-odd minutes have gone. Certainly 1-0 halfway through the first half. And actually they were getting themselves, you asked me after the first 5 minutes, what do Port Vale need to do is not necessarily get hold of the ball, but make sure you're really well organised, and they were doing that, and then suddenly just a little ball over the top. And, it looked like they were able to deal with it. They weren't, but when the ball was played into João Pedro, the 3 central defenders were just kind of standing still, and it ended up just being 1. And by the time João Pedro has got the ball, got the first touch, there's too much time. 1 defender against him is not enough. It's got to be 2, if not 3. And Pedro Neto does really well initially, shows great strength. He's trying to put it into João Pedro, somehow finds a way to it, goes in between 2 of the centre-halves, but they've got to get back in quick enough. And in the end, Carl John wasn't able to get close enough to stop the shot, but someone else has got to come in and help him out. Can't be allowed that type of space. And yeah, it does feel that was a very important goal in terms of this particular tie, and especially for Chelsea.
They've not really had to go up through the gears, Chelsea, I have to say, so far in the game. 26 minutes in, and it's now 2-0. And a 19th goal of the season for João Pedro.
And it's only their second shot on target, Chelsea. So again, 2 and 2. No, but it does go. You can say Chelsea have been clinical, but Port Vale, I think for most of the time so far in this game, have actually done well. But against the top side, you need to be switched on for the whole 90 minutes. Ruud Gullit used to say, you just wanted to do 2 things that are special in the game and affect the game, and Chelsea have done that already.
They're in again, Chelsea. Malo Gusto, low cross. Good defending, sliding in by Humphreys to knock it behind, and high out of play for a corner to Chelsea in front of the shed end. Well, this could be any score, the way the game is going. João Pedro, incidentally, that's 12 goals in his last 17 Chelsea appearances. Really not since Diego Costa have Chelsea had a striker capable of hitting the back of the net nearly 20 times now in a single season. Corner for Chelsea, drifted in by Pedro Neto. Andre Santos goes up, good header away, that by Sharif, and he was caught. Clash of heads, Sharif and Andre Santos. It was very brave, that, from Martin Sharif, who's one of the tallest players on the field, but really had to leap athletically there, the Everton loanee. And actually both players are going to need the physio on here, both Andre Santos and Sharif. And now some of the Chelsea players come across to the near side of the field to take on some instructions and some water. And there's a little bit of movement all around the ground now. Lots of banners at that shed end goal, and away to the left-hand side, a reminder that Chelsea are world champions. That's the moniker on the advertising hoarding, very close to where the Port Vale supporters are on their feet. And really, we shouldn't be surprised by the scoreline. 2-0 Chelsea, nearly half an hour gone. It's, as you said earlier, Scott Minto, about par for the course.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Port Vale, ironically enough, will be kicking themselves with the 2 goals that they've conceded. Now, yes, you'd expect it to be 2-0 after half an hour. But actually, the way that Port Vale have played and the goals they've conceded, you can pick faults in them. The first one, Joe Gauchi's got to be stronger there. He's got to somehow have more of a presence. They've got to get rid of the ball, off a corner. And then even there, they've allowed a ball flicked over the top. Pedro Neto's shown great strength. You wouldn't say that would be his number one attribute. And then João Pedro's had too much time to take a touch and slot the ball into the net. They've done okay. Just on João Pedro, by the way, what a player. I think he's potential world class. I wouldn't put him there yet, but a bit damning for Liam Delap, isn't it, that you're up against a team that's bottom of the 3rd tier of English football. There's a chance to maybe try and get some goals, and the manager feels that he needs to put his number one striker in there. So I'm sure if he felt he could 100% rely on Liam Delap, he would have put him in there, but it shows that he's gone with João Pedro, who's having a wonderful season.
And not scored in his last 17 games in all competitions, Liam Delap. It is for a striker, a terrifying record, that, really.
Yeah, look, he was a £30 million no-brainer. I mean, how many clubs were happy to pay £30 million? I get it. But he was clearly, and he's never going to be, ready to be taking Chelsea to the next level. It's almost, maybe not even next season, but he's a project. He's someone you sort of think about in the future. But Chelsea have to think, yes, about the future. I get it. I understand it. They have to think about the here and now. And I thought that game at Craven Cottage, where Chelsea went down to 10 men, he scored, Chelsea ended up losing, but I thought he was Chelsea's best player in the day, that might have been the game to really kickstart his Chelsea career, but it's just not happened.
Well, the game is back underway after that injury stoppage. Sharif and Andre Santos still waiting to come back on, so both teams temporarily down to 10. Chelsea 2, Port Vale 0. We have had half an hour. There's a long throw coming up here for Port Vale. Sharif, they'd love to have him on the field for this. Kyle John is going to take it. Sharif's actually got in the way of his own teammate there. Here goes John with a long throw, hoisted into the penalty area. That's going to be headed behind for a corner. It bounced off Fofana. He and Tosin almost getting in each other's way. Port Vale get a corner at the Matthew Harding end, and both teams are restored to the full complement of 11 against Scott.
And OK, 2-0 sounds like and seems a mountain to climb, but just get the first goal first. And again, what do we say about how important it is? We're seeing it in the Premier League. Set pieces, corners, get the ball in the right place. We've already seen 1-0 coming from a corner. Can Port Vale do the same?
Liam Gordon will take it. He's had to kick away one of the miniature advertising hoardings. There's a cameraman right behind him. Gordon left-footed, really poor, headed away by Palmer, not very effectively, I have to say. Ojo can't reach the layoff by Wayne. Chelsea have a counter here, and it's 2 against 2. Heavy touch by Pedro Neto, and in steps Walters to nudge it out of play. That was rather a comedy of errors, that taking of the corner.
It absolutely was. It was error after error after error. It was a really poor corner. It was a poor clearance from Palmer, a poor touch from, was it Ojo, and then Pedro Neto ended up overplaying the ball as well.
Must do better. 32 minutes in. 2-0 to Chelsea. Here is Hato on the halfway line. Hato rolling the ball backwards to toss in. Confidence building for Chelsea, I think, what this game looks like being all about from this point. They have a very difficult game against Manchester City to come next on the 12th of April. And Fofana with the angled pass. Out to the right-back position in Malo Gusto. Fofana turns away from Sharif and is caught late by the challenge. Chelsea fans behind the goal not happy with the timing of it, and he is going to get a yellow card. It was a rather elegant scampering turn by Fofana, and Sharif, there was no intent there, but he did catch him late, and I can see why the referee's giving him a yellow.
No, that's a tackle of a striker who's frustrated, who's not getting much of the ball. I mean, to be fair, and I don't mean to be cruel to them, it's happened a few times this season, shall we say, where it's not first half hour hasn't gone well, but you can't really be making challenges like that, or should we say you can only make one challenge like that in a game. Now he's on a yellow card, he needs to be careful. Port Vale cannot afford to go down to 10 men.
Well, as you said a few moments ago, the beauty of this competition is that you never know, and who knows what could happen if Port Vale were to keep it at 2-0, and that's really got to be the goal, I think, up until half-time for John Brady's team.
Don't concede again, and if you can get the next goal, then trust me, it will be nervy around the bridge. So keep very solid, keep your shape, make sure you're 5 at the back, don't allow that space in behind for the wingers to exploit. And then if the set pieces are finally good enough, if you get the next goal, then things could be interesting.
Hatto, a firm first touch to find Palmer just inside the centre circle. He loses out to Walters, who has put himself about effectively in the middle of midfield so far for Port Vale. Raking crossfield ball by Funso Ojo, left to right to the near side, header into touch by Andres Santos. Gabriel rolling around on the field, he feels he was fouled, holding on to his lower back. Don't think the referee or the assistant are very sympathetic. It will be just a throw for Port Vale, but it will be a long throw, and Kyle John, the former Everton centre-half, will come forward to take it. Gabriel is still down. 11 minutes of the first half of the Cup quarter-final to play, and Chelsea have been in command since the very first whistle, really.
Yeah, I mean, they have really, haven't they? That first counter-attack led to the corner, scoring the goal. Carl John looks like he's struggling to get up. He must have obviously told the referee that he's okay because the physio's not come on, and finally he's stood up, but he's struggling.
Limps away does the big number 6, the right back. Tattoos down his arms, long throw into the penalty area by Kyle John, headed away at the near post by Tossin. Good height and distance on that header. Chelsea had brought everybody back to defend, so the ball has dropped to Gordon under no pressure whatsoever on the halfway line. Port Vale have it with Walters. Walters back to Ojo. Ojo with the long sleeve shirt on, looking to raid down the left-hand side. It's backwards from Walters to the halfway line, and Gordon again. Actually a very different game to the one I saw at Vale Park in the 5th round. Port Vale have had more possession here at Stamford Bridge than they did against Sunderland. The problem is they have not been anywhere near as watertight defensively as they were against Sunderland, and they'll be really disappointed, I think, with the defending for both goals. The away fans are enjoying it, though. The Olays are coming out as Port Vale stroke the ball from right to left, albeit all inside their own half.
No, that's fine, though. It's fine. Just keep the ball. Don't let Chelsea have it. If you can play like that, great. Try and look for that ball over the top. It's exactly what they've tried to do. I mean, it will get headed back, then try and win the knockdowns.
Great support from the 6,000 travelling fans. Garrity and Lavia go head-to-head in the middle of midfield. Lavia's certainly come off worse. Gone down holding what looks like his right knee. The referee allows play to continue. It's not a head injury, so he doesn't need to stop the game. Lavia has been down for some time, though. Wayne back to Gordon, meanwhile, as Port Vale look to attack down the left. Effectively, they've got a man advantage. Farai Halam has seen that Lavia is down, but play still continues here. Port Vale don't have to put the ball out. Gabriel has nearly given it away straight to Hatto. Then he wins a free kick and the game is stopped. Well, Liam Rossignol, arms outstretched, feels that it should have been stopped, but the referee didn't have to.
No, not at all. It's not a head injury. I mean, it's not for the first time Romeo Lavia has gone down. I do hope he's okay. And I've got to be careful what I say, because I had some glass bones in my body and was injured for a lot of my career, but it's just so frustrating to see someone like him, the talent he's got. I think he and Caicedo alongside each other against top teams can really help control the tempo of games. I think physically, technically, he's an excellent player, but he's continually injured. His Chelsea career, all the time he's been here, still not got started yet.
Scott Minto, part of the second Chelsea side as it was to win the FA Cup in the club's history in 96-97, and in fact in the final there was a very early goal that day from Roberto Di Matteo from range against Middlesbrough.
I thought for many years that I played an assist to Wisey, who then passed it to Robbie, and then I watched it. I haven't watched the game back in full still now, but I actually watched the goal and I realised I had nothing to do with it.
Over-embellishing, perhaps, as Ojo floats the ball downfield for Port Vale, headed across goal by Conor Hawley, was unmarked at the back post. Chelsea deal with it initially, toss in, beat Sharif to the ball and pokes it upfield to Estevao. Chelsea have got Lavia still off the field here. Estevao's given it straight to Humphreys on the halfway line, and the centre-half elbows jutting out is going to send it back to Gauci. The goalkeeper's clearance hangs up high in the air, headed on by Garrity for Port Vale. The flick by Sharif. Wayne trying to get up ahead of Malo Gusto. That's much more like it from Port Vale. Wayne thinks he's been caught by Gusto now. He goes down, and it is threatening to be quite a stop-start closing period in the first half. We've still got 7 minutes plus added time to go. Wayne is very quickly back to his feet and actually sprinting to try and close down Malo Gusto. Lavia's come back on for Chelsea meanwhile, and Liam Rosenior, just seeing that he's quite expressive in the technical area at the moment, quite energetic, as Chelsea lead 2-0, and at the moment are cruising to Wembley for a semi-final. Forward by Tossin, poor ball, intercepted by John. John gathers the ball forward, but it's blocked off in the middle of midfield by Andre Santos. Chelsea quick to win it back, and now can they turn it into a counter perhaps? Hatto slows the play down. Palmer nudges it back to Lavia, and Chelsea getting through this game with the bare minimum of fuss at the moment.
It's functional, it's professional, isn't it, rather than sort of exciting. I want to see Cole Palmer get on the ball a little bit more.
Well, Neto's on the ball at the moment in the right wing position, thinks about the left-footed reverse ball into the penalty area. It's come back to Lavia, a long way out with a deflected shot, and Gauci, has he stopped the ball from going behind? He has, the goalkeeper. Had to stretch, use all of his frame to slide along the dead ball line, but he has prevented the corner, and Gauci will thunder the ball upfield, high and over the halfway line. It's flicked on by Garrity. Good flick that. Second ball though won by Fofana ahead of Sharif. And in fairness, Chelsea have been diligent in everything that they've done so far. They haven't allowed Port Vale really any opportunity in the game other than the cross come shot from Walters that nearly turned into a chance for Wayne at the back post. That was at 1-0.
Yeah, and that was a big moment, wasn't it? Even though he didn't have having the shot, I think if he'd have read that, anticipated it better, then who knows, we could have been 1-1.
João Pedro left corner of the penalty area, through here towards Estevao. Couple of Port Vale defenders tracking back, were able to get in the way, and now Walters holding the ball up again in the middle of midfield, looks to his right in the overlapping run of Gabriel, quickly across is Romeo Lavia with a tenacious challenge, and the ball ricochets out of play for a throw to Port Vale in the right back position. The team bottom of League One, always up against it, against the team sixth in the Premier League, and with an FA Cup history as rich as Chelsea's. Of course that was always going to be the case. It is just a shame that they couldn't defend better for either goal, particularly the first, because to go behind in the second minute may well have ended up killing this game as a contest. We'll see. Hatto flicks the ball away for Chelsea. It bounces down in the middle of the Chelsea half, and Pedro Neto with a powerful back header that Sanchez will let trickle to his feet. He doesn't need to pick the ball up there, the goalkeeper, because he's not even under token pressure. Chelsea aim to manoeuvre the ball through the thirds. Here is Hatto in the left back position. Now Lavia. We're in the 42nd minute. Fofana wearing number 29. Fofana turns away from Ojo, back to Sanchez. It's not football from Chelsea to really get the heart racing, Scott Minto, but as you were saying, it's professional, it's effective, and it's surely going to be good enough to get Chelsea to Wembley.
Yeah, you do want a bit more than that though, really. You again,
bit more flair.
Yeah, I mean, you're up, I'm repeating myself here, but you're up against a side that's rock bottom of the third tier of English football. You're playing at home, you've picked a strong side. Liam can't do any more here. He's picked a very, very strong side. I want to see the players playing with a higher tempo. I want to see Cole Palmer more on the ball.
Good flick down the middle by Malo Gusto. João Pedro here. Two defenders between him and the goal. Back to Malo Gusto. Low shot. Good save. Palmer tucks it in. Right on cue. And that is surely that. Cole Palmer, the Chelsea captain, taps home from 3 yards out after the shot was saved by Gauci, and Chelsea are cruising to Wembley. Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0. That'll do it.
Right, so that's the goal that Port Vale can hold their hands up and say, look, these are club world champions up against the movement. Malo Gusto, the right back, getting into almost a centre-forward position, certainly a number 10. João Pedro playing a lovely little ball back to Malo Gusto again, and then it has the shot. Gauci makes the save, and that's why you're always taught, go across the goal, aim for the far post. Because if you score, great, but if the keeper saves it, it goes back into the goal. And Cole Palmer, just as we're saying we want to see a little bit more of him, he's got himself in the right position and made it 3-0. Really good play from Malo Gusto. Lovely little flick to João Pedro. He's then gone on, found the space, had the shot across the keeper, and Cole Palmer's followed it in. That is a really well-worked goal, and that's the one goal out of 3 that Port Vale can say, this team is too good.
Oh, there's the flair that you were calling for, and the involvement of Cole Palmer. For Fana with a slightly stumbling touch to regain it back for Chelsea, straight from Kickoff on his own dead ball line. He just switched off for a moment there.
And do you know what, at that goal, the one person who really made it happen? The right back.
Yeah.
Malo Gusto. He's got himself into a number 10 position. He's lovely little flick to João Pedro. He's then gone on, had the shot. I don't know if that go down as an assist because the keeper's sort of parried it out, but that goal was down to him and his movement, and then his ability to run on and the shot he had as well. But obviously well done for Cole Palmer for getting into the position.
He's much more of a goal-scoring threat this season, isn't he, Malo Gusto? In fact, all 3 of his senior goals have come this season for Chelsea, and he wasn't far away from getting himself on the score sheet there, but Palmer, right on cue, was there to tap it in.
Do you know what? He's a really good right back, and in his first season where Reece James was constantly injured, the biggest compliment I was giving him is that Reece James doesn't seem to be too badly missed. I thought last season he wasn't particularly great, but then in the Club World Cup he was superb. He had really a bit of a nightmare first half in the Europa Conference League, but the Club World Cup he was superb, and this season he's just carried it on, and I think he's a great option at right back and gives the ability for Reece James to play in midfield if need be.
Sharif for Port Vale, suddenly finding a gap in between the Chelsea midfield and back line. It was snuffed out very quickly and efficiently by Lavia, who is sent sprawling by Walters. That's a free kick to Chelsea midway inside their own half. You're listening to FA Cup Game Day on Talk Sport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m. 18 plus. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability, and price may vary. Now then, added time. 3-0 Chelsea, 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. And, well, you have to say, fair play to Liam Rossini and his team, because they couldn't have done a great deal more. 3-0 is probably a fair reflection of what we've seen. And actually, plenty of the Chelsea fans have already headed for the concourses ahead of half-time, but perhaps they should have stayed, because their team are on the attack again with the tricky Estevao darting towards the dead ball line. Little back heel to tee up Pedro Neto. Lavia from 35 yards. Andre Santos forward ball, gets it back from João Pedro, who had his back to goal. Every Chelsea player is being urged to shoot here. Neto whips in a lovely cross. Oh, João Pedro would have been underneath it for a free header. Good header away, that by Kyle John at the heart of the Port Vale back line. Chelsea have just been too good without needing to be anywhere near at their best. Lavia's angled pass again out to the right. He's played well, Lavia, today. Pedro Neto rolls the ball square to Estevao, who's now joining Pedro Neto out on the right wing position like a double threat.
Well, it was interesting because both of them are left-footed and prefer to play on the right. So maybe Estevao's like, I want a bit of a touch in the ball. I'm coming over to your side.
Malo Gusto scampering forward away from the defender. Good cross in towards Estevao. Well intercepted. Walters, and then Garrity smuggles it away for Port Vale. Garrity trying to cajole his teammates. They've only got 30 seconds of the first half left to endure. Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0. And Pedro Neto infield to Gusto. Back to Neto once more. Palmer always peerless in possession, even if he hasn't been at the the level that he produced under Maurizio Pochettino for the last 12 months or so. Running infield is Neto as he blocked off by the defender. The referee says no, and it's hacked upfield and away from danger by Port Vale for now. Well, that was Ben Waine getting back, and that's the end of the first half. And applause from the Chelsea supporters because their team are cruising, it would seem, easing their way into an FA Cup semi-final and another date at Wembley. Jorrel Hatto gave them the earliest of leads. Just over a minute had been played when he smashed home after a corner wasn't cleared, and that almost felt like it had ended the game as a contest straight away. João Pedro spun and turned to make it 2, and then the goal of the game so far, scored from close range by Cole Palmer after Joe Gauci had parried Malo Gusto's shot. Port Vale have certainly not disgraced themselves in terms of effort. That's certainly been there in what is just their second ever FA Cup quarter-final, but their run in this competition is surely 45 minutes away from coming to an end. Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0.
Joe Shannon, thank you very much. OK, let's look over that first half, shall we? And it's been an efficient Chelsea, I think that's fair to say. And for a team that perhaps in the last 4 games or so has been struggling for confidence, at the very least, just going in at the break 3-0 up and knowing that you're booking your place in the semi-finals is job done, Scott Minto.
Yeah, but, you know, we talk about how Chelsea have been under pressure, Nat, and you know, Liam himself as well, and you can't afford to lose this game. Now go and win this game big. Okay. You know, be harsh, be ruthless. That's what Pep Guardiola's Manchester City in their prime did. They didn't just settle for 3s and 4s. I remember covering games, I think it was Burton, semi-final of the Carabao Cup, they won by 9. Now, I'm not saying they will win by 9, and I actually think Joe is slightly harsh on Port Vale. I think 2-0 is probably a rightful scoreline, because actually Port Vale have done OK. Just 2 of the goals they conceded, one at the worst possible time at the start of the game, and from a set piece as well. You can't give one of the best teams when you're a really small team a goal like that from a corner so early on. And then 2-0 as well, I didn't think was great defending. 3-0 I thought was a really well-worked goal. And, you know, with respect to the Port Vale defenders and all the players there, they can't live with that type of movement and quick play. But actually, I think Port Vale have done themselves a lot of justice. And whatever the scoreline ends up being, the Port Vale fans can be really proud of their team. Certainly of that first half performance. We're yet to see the second. But no, if you're Chelsea, if I'm Liam Rossini, I'm saying you go on and score at least another 3 in the second half.
Well, I mean, you're right to mention Port Vale's performance, because only 64 seconds in the game they concede, and at that point you could expect a team to crumble because it was such a shocking start for them. But they actually did all right. They got themselves kind of back into a groove. I'm not saying they were anywhere near scoring, but they felt like they were getting back into the game, and only for João Pedro to score has been his 15th goal in all competitions since the start of December, which is more than any other Premier League player, by the way. So a man very much in form. And what I loved about that goal was how he cleverly dummied the shot, which pulled the defender out the way to open up the space for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he is a superb player. I think already you can say he's a... Yeah, you can say he's a top Premier League player. You can't quite say he's world-class yet, but he's got world-class abilities. He needs to be doing this for another 12, 18 months, in my opinion, to be called world-class, although we see what he does in the World Cup. But I really like Malo Gusto and the way that he got himself into that position.
Yeah.
You know, he's the right back, and yet he's getting himself into a number 10 position. He's got the awareness then to know where João Pedro is. He's got the ability to flick it first time to him, and then he's got the... again, awareness and want to go forward and no, my job's not done in this particular move, I'm going to do more. João Pedro shapes the shoot, as you say, and that creates a little bit of space for Malo Gusto, who again shoots like a striker. He shoots a cross goal. So Gauci makes a decent save, but actually still it's parried towards the goal. Who's going to get there first? And Cole Palmer made sure he did. So that's the one goal I thought was a lot of class. João Pedro has been really, really good. But I loved the work that Malo Gusto did in that goal.
But also credit to Cole Palmer having obviously that instinct to be in the right place at the right time, especially as we were talking pre-match about how it's been an indifferent season for him.
Yeah, look, I think the first season he was here, when the shirt seemed to weigh so heavy on so many players, I thought he was absolutely superb. And he scored goals, he made assists, but actually he just controlled games and played like how we all wanted to play a game. I think he hasn't done that this season. So while scoring the goal would be great, and you know, that's certainly there in the record books, I want to see him more on the ball. I want to see him more dominating play. I want to see him playing little 1-2s, getting into little positions, little turns, run with the ball, play someone in, and control the game, not just score a tap in, because he'll be saying, well, I'll be saying to him, anybody can do that. You got yourself in the right position. I want to see you doing what other players can't.
OK. You're tuning in to FA Cup Game Day on TalkSport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app. That's from 11 a.m. It's 18 and over. Fees apply to delivery orders subject to availability, and price may vary. So at the break here, it's Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0. The second half is coming your way next.
FA Cup Live on TalkSport with McDonald's. Got Big McDonald's hunger? The Big Arch is here to stay. Available from 11 a.m. subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
Live tonight, exclusively on DAZN. Derek Chisora.
A true warrior
versus Deontay Wilder.
Hardest huncher.
An icon will fall. Watch only on DAZN.
Here's a bright idea. Let Wix see how much you could save on your electricity bills. With Wix Solar, our team handles everything under the sun, from design to the perfect installation of your solar panels. We're proud as a peacock to be rated excellent on Trustpilot, so you can feel confident your solar installation is in safe hands. Book your free solar appointment today at wix.co.uk. Wix Solar, a name you can trust with service you can rely on.
At AJ Bell, we believe investing is for everyone. And when we say everyone, we mean your dad, Dan, Danielle, Dean, Dave, Dale, Dale's delivery driver Denise, Denise's dentist Dinesh, and Devon's strongest man, Donathan. Donathan, that can't be right. Donathan? Well, whatever your name is. If you're a real person, investing is for you too. AJ Bell, feel good investing. The value of your investments can go up or down.
Irrational is a printer that's next to your laptop, but somehow offline. Smart is a printer with self-healing Wi-Fi that helps keep you connected. Stressful is your printer choosing check-in day to check out of ink. Smart is an HP Smart Tank with 3 years of cartridge-free ink. Oh, that's smart. So go on, search HP Smart Tank. Find the last printer you'll ever need.
Ah, cricket. The unmistakable sound of leather on willow.
Absolute beauty.
Fireworks.
Got the distance. Power ballads.
And T-shirt cannons.
What a catch.
Vitality Blast is back with the biggest local rivalries.
Cartwheeling stumps.
And sixes in the sun. Oh, wonderful technique. Have a blast with men's and women's T20 cricket starting 22nd of May.
Search Vitality Blast to get your tickets now.
McDonald's cards are here. 24 cards to find and free food in every pack. Choose from a range of cards meals, including the legendary Double Big Mac. Order a cards meal and get a pack today. 18 plus UK only, with selected meals subject to availability. Ends 27th of April. App may be required. See mcdrules.co.uk.
It's frothy football, man. FA Cup Game Day live on TalkSport.
This is FA Cup Game Day live on TalkSport, and at the break it is Chelsea 3, Port Vale 0 in the day's second FA Cup quarter-final tie. Earlier on, Manchester City booked their place in the semi-finals after a 4-0 win over Liverpool. Erling Haaland scoring a hat-trick, Antoine Semenyo getting the other. Mo Salah missed a penalty that, had he have scored, would have made it 4-1, but it turned into a comprehensive victory for Manchester City as the pressure likely grows on Arne Slot, whose next opportunity to make things right in the Champions League. That's a quarter-final first leg away at PSG on Wednesday. Now, following us here at Stamford Bridge, we're at St Mary's for Southampton against Arsenal. That one kicks off at 8. Ollie Klink is your host for that one as they begin the build-up from around about 7:30. Commentary will be coming from Alex Crook and the former winger for both sides, Perry Groves. So let's take you to St Mary's and hear from your commentary team. Good evening, Alex.
Good evening from the wind tunnel up here at the back of the main stand at St Mary's. It is absolutely blowing a gale ahead of what I think is a really intriguing FA Cup quarter-final. Arsenal have had 2 long weeks to lick their wounds after losing against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley, and they're facing a Southampton side 14 games unbeaten in all competitions, and who I think Perry Groves will believe there is a genuine chance of an upset, bearing in mind that we expect Mikel Arteta to ring the changes.
Well, obviously I got divided loyalties crooked. I playing for both sides. There was a half and half scarf salesman outside, and I nearly got one. Then he told me the price at 15 quid. I went, "You're right, mate. Don't worry, you can keep it." But yeah, you said there with Southampton, we expect Arsenal to play probably a half and half team. You know, they'll rest a few because you've got a massive game against Sporting Lisbon on Tuesday. With Southampton, it'll be interesting to see how Tonda Eckhart goes, because they're, as you said, they're in a really good run at the minute. When you think about Crookie, when he took over from Will Steele, they were 21st in the Championship. They'd only won 2 out of the first 13 games. Now he has a 62% win rate with virtually the same group of players. So the job he's done here has been unreal, and had good news from yesterday, because all the ones around him for Southampton either drew or lost, you know, trying to get into the playoff position. So there's going to be a lot of jeopardy in this game, because I saw the Southampton game against Leicester, and to be honest, it was both teams. It was like more of an inconvenience for them to play the game, because Tonda Eckhart didn't want these players to get injured. They win that after extra time. But today, I think he'll go quite strong, and I think he'll go for it. He's not a manager who's going to sit back and go, he's 4-2-3-1 into a 4-5-1. I think he'll actually go for it, and we'll have a real good game of football.
And I've been winding you up a little bit in the press room. We all saw Manchester City in their demolition job of Liverpool earlier. They seem to have momentum. So how big a game is this for Arsenal in terms of putting that League Cup final defeat to bed, getting back to Wembley straight away in the very next game, and just calming any nerves amongst those travelling supporters?
Do you know what it is? It's not necessarily the nerves, Crick. It's like the outside noise. You know what it's going to be like if Arsenal get beat here today. Then it's is there a crisis at Arsenal? Well, you know, are they the nerves getting to them? So as you said there, it is about getting that win and getting that momentum back. Because I mentioned the big game on Tuesday against Sporting Lisbon. Then next Saturday against Bournemouth, 12:30, before Man City play Chelsea on the Sunday. So this is a big game. Every game now for Arsenal to the end of the season is a massive game.
Yep, and the FA Cup, a place in the semi-finals, a competition that Arsenal have won more times than any other club in the country, is very much up for grabs here on the windswept South Coast tonight. Kick-off at 8 o'clock. It's live right here on TalkSport.
Alex and Perry, thank you very much. Just to run you through some quick results from the Scottish Premiership. Rangers beat Dundee United by 4-2, which takes them top of the table on goal difference. Hearts can reclaim top spot, that is if they get a point at Livingston tomorrow, and Celtic are in action as well on Easter Sunday as they face Dundee. Elsewhere, St Mirren were 2-0 winners over Aberdeen. Hibs beat Kilmarnock at home 3-0. And Motherwell, no wins in 4 now for them as they lost at home to Falkirk 3-2. And on Times Radio Live earlier on, Cambridge men won their 4th consecutive boat race against Oxford, but the Oxford women came out on top for the first time since 2016. Heavyweight season continues tonight here on TalkSport as Derek Chisora takes on Deontay Wilder at London's O2 Arena. Our expert team have kept you right up to date throughout a busy fight week, and they won't stop there because you can watch along with us ringside via the TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel. That is Wilder versus Chisora tonight, live on the TalkSport network, the TalkSport Boxing YouTube channel, as well as your smart TV from 7 p.m, or you can watch live on DAZN. Remember, on the subject of Liverpool's hammering at the Etihad, their next game away at PSG is live on TalkSport this coming Wednesday, and Stephen Gerrard is going to be a guest on The Breakfast Show with Ali McCoist and Gabby Agbonlahor on Tuesday. You won't want to miss that. Now, to bring you details of what's happened here at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea are 3-0 up against Port Vale at the break in this second FA Cup quarter-final. We thought Cole Palmer had been credited with the 3rd goal for Chelsea, but it's now been deemed as an own goal. It was going wide, and unfortunately for Jordan Lawrence Gabriel, his deflection took it in. So it's not a Cole Palmer goal, it is an own goal that sealed that 3-0 lead at the break. Scott Minto, obviously part of our team here, an FA Cup winner with Chelsea back in 1997. Chelsea now making their way onto the pitch, as are Port Vale. Just very quickly, would you expect... Oh,
no, I'm just don't take the goal away from Cole Palmer.
I know.
Are you telling me that was going wide? We haven't got angles here, replays to be able to see it. But
we haven't seen that.
That must have been the case, clearly. Yeah. But just as I'm saying, well, at least he's got a goal, he hasn't got a goal. Someone tell him, and then he will get a goal in the second half.
Indeed. I was just very quickly going to say, I'm conscious of the time, Do you expect, obviously, Liam Rosenior to suddenly take off some of these bigger name players just to keep them ready for Manchester City?
Yeah, I think, look, give them another 15-20 minutes. They really go at it, and then bring some of the other ones, you know. And I want to see not just the senior pros, but the youngsters to come on as well. So, you know, this could be a really exciting time to see the future as well. And obviously, I'm talking in particular of Kavuma McQueen, who's a really good midfielder and has got a real big future ahead for him.
Well, we await to see whether or not those changes will take place. It doesn't look like there's any taking place at this present moment, but the teams are about to get underway for this second half. You're listening to FA Cup Game Day live on TalkSport with Matt Donalds. So your commentary team is Scott Minto and Joe Shun.
And we are back underway for the second half, and there are no changes for either team. Chelsea playing from left to right towards the Matthew Harding end, which is half empty at the moment actually, and Port Vale playing from right to left towards the 6,000 strong away end, away to the left hand side at the shed end of Stamford Bridge. Chelsea all in royal blue with white socks, Port Vale white shirts, black shorts and black socks. Here is Malagusto with an early touch out to the near side, the right, and Esteval. Gusto again on the halfway line, rolls the ball square about 20 yards, toss in to the feet of Hatto, and Hatto looks for Pedro Neto just inside Port Vale territory. And Palmer, who has been sharp, and well, there must have been a deflection on the way through off Gabriel on the way back into the net. You always feel it's quite harsh when attacking players have goals taken off them, especially in this sort of situation, having made it 3-0. But I suppose the rules are the rules.
Well, look, the ball must have been going wide, which surprises me because he was only about 6 yards out, even though he was, you know, stretching for it. But one, Cole Palmer doesn't want the goal to be taken off him, and two, Jordan Gabriel doesn't want the goal to be given to him.
Well, it is 3-0, and that's the most important thing. I'll remind you of the two teams in just a moment. Port Vale have got a free kick about 7-8 yards infield from the near side touchline. Standing over it is Funso Ojo on the near side, the left, and Ojo whips the ball in high, right-footed. Back post is Humphreys into the area, couldn't get the shot away. Smuggled clear by Andre Santos. Good header across goal in the first instance by Garrity to find it. Neto has sent Ojo to ground, and there'll be a free kick in exactly the same position, actually, 10 yards or so in front of the Port Vale dugout.
That would have made things interesting, wouldn't it, if they were able to get a goal out of that. And Chelsea looked vulnerable on that ball. Again, just a free kick in there. Can you win the knockdowns? Port Vale did initially. In the end, the shot was blocked. But, look, I mean, I don't expect Port Vale to come back into it, but can they win the second half?
Ojo drives the ball downfield again on the diagonal. Again, it's aimed at Garrity at the back post, but this time there's a foul by John on Andre Santos, and Chelsea get a free kick. Chelsea with Sanchez in goal, Gusto, Fofana, Tosin and Hatto, Lavia and Santos, Esteval, Palmer and Pedro Neto in behind João Pedro. And for Port Vale, also unchanged, Gauci the goalkeeper, Gabriel, John, Humphreys, Hall and Gordon, Ojo, Garrity and Walters, with Wayne in support of Sharif, who is the furthest forward. It's 3-0 to Chelsea, live on TalkSport with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m, 18+. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability. Price may vary. Palmer in a tangle with Garrity on the halfway line, and Palmer wins the loose ball. Still lots of empty seats early on in the second half here at Stamford Bridge. Stay with us tonight on TalkSport. We'll have Southampton against Arsenal to come. Esteval chests the ball down in the area square, and he looked for João Pedro, but he overhit the cross right along the 6-yard line. Think he was offside, Esteval, in the first instance anyway. And it's a free kick to Port Vale. Stays 3-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, but that's what you want to see if you're a Chelsea fan. You don't want Chelsea to sit back and just say, right, you know, we'll coast through this second half. No, go and get another three. I mean, look, 3-0 at half-time, well done, job done to a point, but it was only 3 shots on target. You can turn around and say, well, that's really clinical, and of course it is, but it wasn't as if they were absolutely peppering the goal of Joe Gauci. So, yeah, just even try and step it up in the second half, and then get 4, get 5, and then Liam Rosenior can start to make substitutions.
But I think we said this late in the first half, didn't we, Scott Minto? You want to see a little bit more flair, maybe, from your old club, the handbrake off a little bit more perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I want to see Cole Palmer get more involved in the game. I want to see Estevao actually is interesting. He's now on the right, whereas in the first half he started on the left.
Yeah,
that's his favourite position. Get him the ball and then leave him alone. Let him have one-on-one against his defender. No defender would want to be in that particular situation. It's down to Port Vale to help, Liam Gordon now. And then, okay, is there space elsewhere? That's what I want. They're up against a team that's going to get relegated to the 4th division of English football. So, really turn the screw, be absolutely ruthless. From Port Vale's point of view, if you keep it to 3-0, I think they've done really, really well.
Well, we know that Manchester City are through, Chelsea heading through as well. Lovely back heel, João Pedro, André Santos to Estevao, off the post. Estevao with a firm left-footed shot, low along the ground. The goalkeeper was beaten, hit the outside of the post before bouncing away to safety.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to see Chelsea doing. And they win the ball back quickly, and then suddenly there's space in there. It's a really early ball into Estevao, and he's right to take it first time, although he could have taken a touch. He's unlucky because he's aiming for the far post. It's curling in, but it's not quite curling in quick enough. It flicks the post and goes out, but that's the type of flair that I want to see from this Chelsea side.
Well, what is a nice early evening here in West London, headed down by toss in towards João Pedro, little battle with Connor Hall, hoisted upfield by Humphreys for Port Vale, header away by Tosin. And now Palmer winning it back for Chelsea, tearing forward from the halfway line. João Pedro in front of him. To the right is Estevao. 4 forward in this Chelsea attack. Estevao all left foot, looks for Palmer, tries to place it, and Gauci gets across to make the save. You could see exactly what Cole Palmer was doing, and it could be a theatre, an exhibition of attacking football in this second half from Chelsea.
Cheeky, and I love it. Cole Palmer gets the ball, 19 yards out, so just outside the box. There's a whole array of Port Vale defenders in front of him. What does he do? He passes it through the legs of the nearest Port Vale defender, and actually a bit more power on it, and Gauci might not have made it, but that's the flair I'm talking about.
An impetus and an energy about Chelsea to start the second half, and that's good to see. Leading by 3-0. The cup tie is surely done, but Chelsea determined to finish with a greater flourish in this second half, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, from Port Vale's point of view, they've got to hang on in here. They're not going to go through to the semi-final of the FA Cup, but what they don't want from a pride point of view is to lose by 5 and 6. If they do, look, this is the club world champion they're up against and at Stamford Bridge, but they just need to keep themselves disciplined, make sure they don't concede that 4th. It looks like it's coming at the moment, but it's much better from Chelsea already in the second half.
Oh, whatever happens, it's been a great FA Cup adventure for Port Vale, that's for sure, but they're on the back foot again here. Estevao inside right, header away by Hall, coming across from the right-sided central defensive position for Port Vale, and he'll clatter the ball upfield. Chelsea win it back straight away. All Chelsea, left to right in the second half. I'll give you the Chelsea subs bench as well. Cucurella, Caicedo, Esugo, Garnacho, Delap, the goalkeeper Sharman Lowe, Achampong, Sarr, and the youngster who could make his debut today, Kavuma McQueen, number 76. Out on the left-hand side is João Pedro, surging forward and trying to get beyond John. Left edge of the penalty area, plays it backwards to André Santos. Now Gusto, square to Labia. Chelsea really turning up the heat even further now. 3-0 in front, and there's a much better pace to the Chelsea possession in this second half. André Santos to Estevao, wriggles his way forward, and he's still going from a tight angle, wins a corner off Liam Gordon.
Already 7.5 minutes in, and this is what we didn't see in the first half, and this is what Chelsea should be doing against a rock-bottom third-tier side. But if they're playing with a much higher intensity, playing two-touch, quick football, and then once they're in the box, no one wants to touch Estevao. He can then try and do his little skills, and in the end Gordon does well just to make sure it's just a corner and nothing more. But much better from Chelsea in the second half.
A nice free-flowing football from Chelsea. They've taken the corner short, why not? They keep possession. Palmer, the captain, with an angled square ball to Hatto. Everybody back here for Port Vale, who have been chasing shadows in this second half. I think they've barely had a meaningful touch. Over the top from Labia, and that'll drift out of play, way over hit, looking for Malo Gusto, and it bounces one bounce and into the lower tier of the Matthew Harding end.
Blimey, he used a 5-iron there where he needed a pitching wedge. Linford Christie wouldn't have got at the end of that one.
Yes, it needed a defter touch, didn't it? Too much club.
Yeah, and look, and he's got it, and I think let's talk specifically on Lavia then. Career hasn't yet started at Chelsea. He's been here far too long. He's already shown when he does play and when he's fit that he's a great talent. And I said about playing against the top sides, him and Caicedo in there can really help control the tempo of the game and negate what the top sides can do, but he's just not been fit enough. So an important game for him: 1, stay fit; 2, play the 90 minutes; and 3, dominate the game.
Just a 15th appearance of the season for Lavia. Port Vale on the attack. Out on the right-hand side. Chance for Gabriel to drive forward, but he's blocked off by Hatto. Very efficiently and effectively, and indeed fouled by Gabriel. The assistant referee signals that is a clear free kick to Chelsea. So Manchester City 4, Liverpool 0. Earlier live on Talk Sport, live and exclusive, an Erling Haaland hat-trick. We've got Southampton against Arsenal live for you at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, the last of the quarter-finals pits West Ham against Leeds United. Over the top from Esteval, lovely way to pass. João Pedro is clear from the angle he shoots. Blocked off by Hall, who had just narrowed the angle as such that it would have taken something very special for João Pedro to beat the goalkeeper. It is out of play for a Chelsea corner.
Great defending from Connor Hall there. He just got in behind him, João Pedro, but he was able to just, 1, shepherd him away from goal and have to take an extra touch, and then 2, make a really good block.
Corner to Chelsea, floated in by Pedro Neto. Up go the heads, cleared away by Sharif from the middle of the 6-yard box. Now Palmer, midway inside the Port Vale half, the metronome Palmer, holding everything together in the middle of midfield for Chelsea. Palmer works the ball wide out to the right-hand side. Neto can take on Ben Waine. Neto shimmying onto the left foot into a shooting position, drives it goalwards, punched away by the goalkeeper two-handed. He saw that come through a crowd of bodies, and Ojo pokes it behind for a corner. Well, it may be 3-0 to Chelsea, it may be tie-over, but this is certainly an entertaining start to the second half, Scott Minter.
They haven't scored in the second half, but this already, in terms of performance, is much better than what we saw in the first. Really good play from Pedro Neto, and he absolutely larruped that one. That's a good save from Gauchi.
Again, they take the corner short. Neto with a reverse pass to Malo Gusto. Dinks in the cross. Tosin's header! 4-0! Rising highest, rising athletically the centre-half. And he thundered that beyond Joe Gauchi. Credit to Chelsea because they haven't lost focus. They keep turning up the heat. They go up through the gears. And they had a deserved 4th goal. Chelsea 4, Port Vale 0.
Yeah. I said about they haven't scored. What happens seconds later? They do. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of performance and intensity and what the Bridge faithful want to be seeing. Look, we said before the game, on paper this was the perfect game for them, and it's proving to be the case. I thought they were functional in the first half without being particularly brilliant. I really enjoyed the 3rd goal, but the performance at the start of the second half, they've just upped the tempo. And Port Vale, amongst many other clubs, Port Vale shouldn't be hanging their heads in shame by any stretch of the imagination. They're giving it their all out there. But in the second half, Chelsea have completely gone from 2nd to 4th gear. I mean, that's a power header from Tosin. Really good header. Brilliant cross again from Malo Gusto. And but say about how a player I really, really enjoy watching. And as a right back, a full back, appreciate what he's doing and what he gives to the side. Really good assist, really good goal, but just really good play from Chelsea in this second half.
We're going to Wembley, seeing the Chelsea support, a regular destination for them in recent years. There is a concern because João Pedro's gone down, and actually slowly but surely he is getting to his feet. For a moment there it looked like he might need the physio on. Chelsea are going to get Garnacho on shortly anyway.
I was just about to say, this is the point now the 4th goal's happened. We're getting towards the hour mark where a lot of managers make substitutions anyway. Now you take off some of your best players. You don't want to get injured. Game's won. You've played well now in the first hour. Now think ahead to Manchester City.
Well, Chelsea with their 17th FA Cup goal of the season so far in just 4 games. They scored 5 at Charlton, 4 at Hull, 4 at Wrexham, and now 4 at home to Port Vale, and plenty more maybe still to come with well over half an hour to go. It could be a torrid time for that Port Vale back line, you have to say. They're giving it absolutely everything, but Chelsea are just too good, as we, of course, would have all suspected would probably be the case before the games. There's certainly no reflection of shame on Port Vale, no question at all. They're doing their very best, and it's been a brilliant FA Cup run. And Chelsea are taking them apart here, really. Neto, left corner of the penalty area. Port Vale sitting very compact. Everybody back behind the ball, very deep, really defending the 18-yard line at the moment. But Chelsea are looking like they can cut through them at any moment anyway. There's Sugo and Delap ready to come on, as well as Garnacho. So there'll be a triple change here for Liam Rosenior. João Pedro weaving footwork, little back heel by Palmer. João Pedro nearly through, cleared away by Hall of Port Vale. And now it's the Chelsea fans who are finding their collective voice away to the right-hand side as we head towards the hour mark. And Chelsea are going to end that run of defeats, which is really important in any context with tough Premier League games to come. Palmer through the lines to Estevao, he's in on goal here, good save, comes out to Palmer, Palmer places it, Gauchi's there again. Good goalkeeping from the on-loan Aston Villa man, and credit to Palmer, very sportingly gives Gauchi a pat on the back, double save, and I think he was fouled anyway, so he gets the free kick.
Yeah, a really good double save, you have to say. Well, Cole Palmer is perhaps a little bit greedy there, but maybe he's not been happy that he's had a goal taken off him, so I want one today. But, yeah, it's been brilliant, second half, really good. And Liam Rosenior would be delighted, and absolutely the right time to make substitutions now.
It's a real shame to see Palmer go off, because he is linking things together, finding all of the gaps and finding opportunity to craft chances out of nowhere like a magician on the field. Garnacho replaces Pedro Neto. Off goes João Pedro. Here's a chance for Liam Delap to get on the Chelsea score sheet. He's only scored twice since joining the club. And Dario Esugo will replace Palmer. And for Esugo, this is just his second appearance of the season. He also played in the FA Cup win at Wrexham, where he looked a tidy player. So 4-0 to Chelsea. 3 changes for Chelsea. New look front line to some extent. Header away by the scorer of the 4th goal, Tosin. Drops neatly for Lavia. Well, they'll be enjoying this, these Chelsea players, surely. Estevao gets beyond Gordon for the umpteenth time. Referee lets play continue after the initial advantage was played and then pulls it back. Estevao, the tormentor-in-chief, with his fleet of foot, the ability to keep the ball sticking to those boots like glue. That noise you can hear is from the 6,000 travelling fans. Port Vale till I die, they sing. And 3 changes on the way for Port Vale as well shortly, including Andre Gray, who once played in an FA Cup final for Watford. That 6-0 defeat to Manchester City. You wouldn't be surprised if this quarter-final finished 6-0 here today. FA Cup game day on Talk Sport with McDonald's. As Chelsea come forward now, Lavia down the middle, Delap can't get control of it. You can order the delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m, 18 plus. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability, and price may vary. Hojo rolls the ball back to Humphreys, and Port Vale just looking to get through the rest of the quarter-final now. High ball downfield by John, is headed away. Now Chelsea look to get on the attack with Garnacho. It's shepherded back to the goalkeeper by Humphreys once more. Gauchi's clearance skyward, slightly brighter skies than when the game began. 4-0 Chelsea. Esugo middle of midfield, back to Lavia. Now Gusto with the angled pass out to the near side, and Estevao. Here he is, isolating Gordon in another one-on-one. Wayne comes across to try and help out his teammate. Gusto looking to find a gap in the middle of midfield. Lavia strokes the ball square with his red boots on. He finds Hato out to the left in Garnacho. Quite an engaging watch, this Chelsea team in the second half. Garnacho, step overs, back to Santos, onto Esugo, rolls it backwards. Tosin gets there in front of Sharif, and Chelsea look to build another attack with Garnacho marauding infield from the left-hand side. Malo Gusto's layoff back to Lavia. It's an attack v defence drill really at this point in the game. Estevao taking on Gordon again. Estevao with the weaving footwork, couple of step overs. Gusto back to Estevao, crosses in and over the top by Garnacho. Should have scored.
My goodness me. Said about Estevao tormenting Port Vale now, and he certainly is playing a little 1-2. He's played it inside. And it's on Garnacho's right foot, so although it's kind of bounced in front of him, he's got to have the technical ability just to keep over it, keep it down, keep it on target. And if it's more than a yard away from Joe Gauci, then he's not saving it. He's only 6-7 yards out.
Well, here come the Port Vale changes. Ben Wane's FA Cup adventure is over. Likewise, Martin Sharif and George Hall and Andre Gray, who I mentioned earlier, are the two to come on. Gray, I think, will play furthest forward. Quite a billowing wind down on the near side touchline, a long way down from our commentary position as Port Vale make their third substitution now. And Elijah Campbell, on loan from Everton, yet to make a senior appearance at Everton, is going to replace Liam Gordon. So the message to Campbell is try your luck at keeping out Esteval, Scott.
All the best.
It may not be so straightforward. Chelsea come forward yet again. Esteval with the first chance to run at the defender, and he skipped beyond him, nearly into the penalty area here. Twisting, turning, left-footed shot, hits the post. He's so unlucky. He tried to play it reverse beyond the goalkeeper, fooled him with the eyes, went towards the near post, off the base of the woodwork.
Yeah, welcome Elijah Campbell to the game. And sometimes you're going to have a one-on-one situation up against a kid that could be a Ballon d'Or winner in the future. So as I repeat, good luck. He actually didn't do too bad there, but he was still able to get the shot off and, yeah, hit the post. But he wants to get as close to him as possible and get people around him as well. Can't be just a one-on-one situation. He needs help.
Esteval with that youthful enthusiasm, desperate for a goal. Chelsea have been camped in the Port Vale half for all of the 26 minutes of the second half that have been played so far. 21 minutes, rather, of the second half that have been played. Chelsea 4, Port Vale 0 here on TalkSport, with Southampton against Arsenal to come. And don't forget, we'll also bring you West Ham against Leeds in the FA Cup. Terrible back pass by Hall to his goalkeeper Gauci, who ballooned the ball, sliced it off his left foot behind and away for a corner kick. But to say that it was a hospital pass would be an understatement.
Do you know what? It was very much an overhit back pass, but if that's the case, take a touch. And that shows that Joe Gauci is feeling a little bit under pressure, amongst many other Port Vale players.
Chelsea take the corner short. They prefer to keep possession. Then Hatto whips it in. Header away by Hall. Only as far as Hatto. Back to Gusto. Port Vale giving it everything, but it hasn't been a competitive FA Cup quarter-final, I'm afraid. Though you could say the same, much the same about Manchester City 4, Liverpool 0.
Yeah, and actually for the first 20-25 minutes I thought it was quite competitive, and you know, with them conceding that early goal, I thought they did really well. But once the second, then especially the third goal went in, I mean, Chelsea have just stepped it up in this second half. You know, I've got to repeat, on a regular basis, this is a team that's going down to the fourth tier of English football.
Yep.
This is not a scoreline we shouldn't expect. You know, 4-0 at the very least is par, and I think they've worked really, really hard. It would be a shame in many ways for them to lose 6 and 7, but if I'm a Chelsea player, if I'm Liam Rosenior, I want my team to be ruthless. Go on and make it 6 and 7, make a statement, get confidence ahead of that Man City game.
Scott Minto's with us on TalkSport. The game is into its final quarter. Esteval wriggling infield away from George Hall, nudging it back to Tosin as the wind picks up again here at Stamford Bridge. It's wide to Gusto nutmegging Campbell, going on the outside, then angling the ball backwards to Fofana, the centre half, playing as a defensive midfielder in terms of position, really. Sugo to Hatto, and now Garnacho out on the left-hand side. He can run at Gabriel. The former Manchester United man cuts it back. Andre Santos, deflection on the shot, and that loops onto the roof of the net, and it's yet another Chelsea corner. Well, Liam Rosenior turns back towards the dugout. A former FA Cup finalist with Hull City in 2014. Steve Bruce's Hull City, as it was. They were beaten narrowly by Arsenal after extra time that day. But Liam Rosenior maybe can see a route to silverware with the FA Cup in his, well, not even his first full season at Chelsea, of course. In his first few months, it'll be. Esteval's corner, left-footed, goalkeeper can't get there, and it's headed in for a fifth. Andre Santos, all alone at the back post this time. Beautiful delivery by Esteval. He really whipped that in with some devilish pace. bend into the penalty area. Gauci leapt to try and meet it. He couldn't get there. He flapped at the ball, and Andre Santos could not miss. Almost from on the goal line to thunder the header into an empty net. Just his second Chelsea goal, and it's Chelsea 5, Port Vale 0, and Chelsea really are going into the semi-finals of the FA Cup with quite a flourish.
Yeah, and do you know what? Again, as we've said all season in the Premier League, that set piece is so important. But look, it's a good ball in, but it's one that Joe Gauci has gone under it completely. And Andre Santos, I mean, he's literally 4 yards from goal, right in front of it, and all he needs to do is he does need to move his body a little bit to make sure that he's able to keep it down, keep it on target. Again, you can't be giving away goals like that. 5-0 still, no real surprise, and well done to Chelsea. Port Vale are giving their all, but I think there's been a couple of goals. You can definitely argue the 2 set pieces, maybe even 2-0. The goals they shouldn't be conceding. The other ones you can just say, look, they're too good. But that was just a simple ball in, a good one. The keeper's got to get that, got to get something on it.
Still 20 minutes to go. 5-0 to Chelsea live here on Talk Sport. Have to say that the ruthlessness and the hunger, Scott Minto, of this Chelsea team has been quite impressive to watch.
I think impressive is the right word. I've been very impressed with Chelsea in the second half. It took a bit of time for them to score in the second half, but the way they've been playing from the start right up to now, they've played with a real high intensity, 1-2 touch, get the ball out wide. Can you go at your fullbacks? Can you get the balls in the box? And this is exactly the type of performance that Liam Rosenior would have been looking for. Look, I mean, it gets Chelsea through to the semi-final. I still would be hoping, if Arsenal do beat Southampton, that it's a Manchester City-Arsenal semi-final. But all you can do is win it at the moment, and I think it's been very, very good. One thing I would say is, if you're Liam Delap and you've come on the pitch, you want to make sure, OK, you haven't been on the pitch for the whole 90 minutes, but you want to make sure, if it's a 5-0 scoreline, that you somehow get one of the goals that is still yet to come. Still plenty of time, 20 minutes plus injury time.
Offside against Esteval, and a free kick to Port Vale. We've just had a suggestion that, well, couldn't they drop the goal music now that they're raining? The goals are raining in.
Why?
Well, they're not. I feel like they're barely getting out of their seats now, the Chelsea fans.
I think it's a lack of respect to the opposition if you suddenly say, oh, we don't need to do that anymore. And look, Chelsea...
They're certainly showing them respect by going for more goals.
Absolutely.
They're playing in the right way.
Chelsea need to celebrate every goal at the moment, because they haven't been coming just before the international break. And look, I understand the question, but again, I go back to what I've seen at Pep Guardiola's Manchester City in their prime. No, they're ruthless. They treat every goal the same. And actually, if you're able to score 6, 7, 8, 9, then do it. Just
not my suggestion.
No, I know. I mean, it wasn't a bad suggestion from producer Sim, but he was a Tottenham fan, but we won't go there. But what I would say is, no, just create that. Every single minute we're on the pitch, we want to be front foot, and that's on and off the pitch.
Can Vale get themselves a goal? Long throw in by John, header away by Tosin. Chelsea can try and break here as Sugo, midway inside the Port Vale half, out to the right, Malagusto, who is going to turn back towards his own dead ball line, and he's carried the ball out of play, has he there? Port Vale throw. Now they're going to make another substitution here, Port Vale. It's going to be Ethan Archer, on loan from Luton, to come on. They're back in action on Tuesday night in League One at home to Rotherham. Port Vale, as Garrity comes off, he is replaced by Archer. They have a really tough fixture list coming up to Port Vale. Producer Matt and I were discussing this before the game. At one point later on this month, they've got to play on Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday in the same week. So it is tough. As Garrity goes off, gets a standing ovation, and on comes Archer.
Yeah, Nat was saying they got games in hand.
They have a couple.
Good luck with that.
They're almost the types of game in hand that you don't want. 5-0 to Chelsea.
No, listen, I don't want to have a go at her. She's giving me daggers now. She's absolutely right to point out that mathematically she's spot on.
It's not done at the bottom of the table yet. You never know. Stranger things have happened in football. Gauchi has given the ball away. The goalkeeper, the somewhat beleaguered goalkeeper, shots raining down on his goal. And indeed, Chelsea have hit the post a couple of times, haven't they, in this second half, so it could have been even worse.
Yeah, and I mean, just on sort of Port Vale and the rest of the season, they need to be very careful. It's really difficult, as you say, the amount of games. Yeah, games in hand in many respects. You'd rather have a game in hand than not. But actually, not only can you carry on losing, but you can get injuries, and then just you can really finish the season on the whimper.
George Hall driving down the middle, deflected shot. He should have passed to Gray, who's got his arms outstretched as if to say, why didn't you play me in? They have got a corner though, Port Vale, and wouldn't they love a goal here in the last 15 minutes of the cup tie? It'd be great reward for the 6,000 who made the long trip down the motorway from Burslem in Staffordshire. And going across to take the corner is Campbell, and they haven't lost hope or spirit in the game.
That was the moment where George Hall was thinking, I'm going to score the greatest goal of my career.
Corner's taken short to Archer. Archer down by the dead ball line, thinks about a cross, held up by Hatto. Back to the corner taker Campbell. Now John delivers right-footed, header away by Tosin. Chelsea looking dangerous, 2 against 2 on the break here. Really good play by John to beat the pacey Garnacho to it. Beat Garnacho and Estevao to that. Port Vale in the white shirts on the attack on the right only momentarily. Ball is knocked out of play by Gray.
Yeah, just on that, I mean, it was a great bit of skill from Hall, jinking past 2 players. And imagine from 25 yards out, stuck that in the top corner. You know, you lose 5-1, but still, you've scored the best goal, and you've scored a wonder goal at the home of the club world champions. Andre Gray was absolutely right to have a little bit of a pop to say, pass me, I was in a better position, but I don't think he would have passed in that particular, if he were in that situation.
George Hall was playing the celebrations in his head before he'd even scored it, wasn't he? Still a great deal of pride in the Port Vale effort. Long goes Sanchez, and that's drifted out of play via the right boot of the Chelsea goalkeeper. How seriously should we take Chelsea, Scott Minto, as FA Cup contenders? They're going to be into the semi-finals. They've won the competition 8 times. Runners-up 3 seasons in a row recently as well. Losing on each occasion. But how hopeful can Liam Rosenior be, do you think?
It's a tough one, really, because you're in the semi-finals, so of course you've got a great chance. I still would say, you know, Manchester City are through. We don't yet know about Arsenal, and that will be a tough game. And really interested to see the team selection of Tonda Eckert, because they've got Wrexham on Tuesday and Derby next week.
Garnacho with a cross, over hit beyond Delap and behind.
You know, so the league getting into the playoffs, and I believe, I said at Christmas time, if they were somehow able to get into the playoffs, I'd fancy them. I didn't think they'd get into the playoff spot this early. You still should fancy Arsenal, so I still think they'd be third favourites, Chelsea. But if Arsenal, you know, are drawn against Manchester City in the semi-final, then the winners of West Ham and Leeds, Chelsea should feel reasonably confident about beating, as difficult as that will be. And then they're in the final and anything can happen, as we saw last year.
Well, a big reception and a warm welcome to Stamford Bridge for the 17-year-old Ryan Kavuma McQueen, on in place of Romeo Lavia, inspired by Cristiano Ronaldo, joined the club at under 8 level and on for his senior debut. There's a lot to, I think, for Chelsea fans to get excited about in terms of this young player who's really being touted as the next big talent to have emerged from the Chelsea youth team, hasn't he, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this is the perfect opportunity. The fact he was on the bench, Liam's clearly thinking, excuse me, if we get this game done and dusted on 50, 60, 70 minutes, then I can put him on. You know, he's only just turned 17. But just moments like this, I mean, even just being on the bench and getting dressed in the dressing room and putting the shirt on, even if he hadn't have got on, would have been a great experience. And now he's on the pitch, just getting a feel what it's like to be a Chelsea first-team player is a wonderful experience.
Couldn't have gone any better today for Liam Rosenior. Estevao darting through the middle, the Port Vale midfield trailing in his wake. Clearance away by John before the ball can be fed forward to Delap. Chelsea back on the attack though quickly with Garnacho, left corner of the penalty area. Delap's movement a little static maybe so far. Gusto forward to the edge of the D. Estevao, Garnacho, this all on the edge of the penalty area. Looks slightly to his left at Andre Santos, all a bit narrow for Chelsea all of a sudden. They do work it wide now to the right-hand side. Kavuma McQueen, chance to drive at Campbell, and he wins Chelsea a corner at the Matthew Harding end. Chelsea lead by 5-0 on Talk Sport. And we mentioned the Southampton-Arsenal game at 8 o'clock. We will bring you live commentary, and we should have the team news for you in a few minutes' time. From St Mary's, West Ham against Leeds tomorrow at 4:30 in the last of the quarter-finals, and then on Easter Monday our focus turns back to the EFL, some big games in the Championship. Corner taken by Estevao. Gauci rooted to his line again, he was nowhere near it. Cleared away, here's Garnacho from the left-hand angle, taking on Gabriel. Garnacho rolling the ball back to Gusto. Gusto a long way out, urged to shoot, but he's stood on the ball really and brought the attack to a temporary halt. Garnacho is going to try and revitalise it. Back to Esugo, and now the tall, rangy toss-in. Josh Achampong is going to come on for Chelsea before the end of the game. 10 minutes to go, and 1 or 2 starting to head for the exits here now at Stamford Bridge. The game has long been over. It was over really at 2-0. Some might even have said at 1-0 with the way that Chelsea took the lead after a minute and 6 seconds. It's been a procession for Chelsea, really, a procession into the semi-finals ever since then. And after a difficult week for Liam Rosenior, we should remember all of the turbulence of the comments of Enzo Fernandez and Cucurella. Cucurella left on the bench today, and Enzo Fernandez has promised not in the squad.
Well, Liam said the most difficult 10 days of his career, including as a player, so it shows how tough it has been. But, you know, again, this really was the perfect game, wasn't it? Coming back off an international break against the team.
Oh, lovely ball, Hato, right through to Garnacho, off the post again, Estevao gets his goal, taps it in from close range, nothing that Port Vale could do, but the flag is up, and for now, it looks like the goal has been ruled out. Well, VAR will check it. Was he offside? Is the big question. You feel like he's deserved a goal, Estevao, but was he offside in the build-up or indeed when the shot was struck?
Yeah, I mean, it's being checked. We're not able to watch it, so we don't know at this moment in time, but I think you're right. Estevao, you know, he started the season so well, and then he has had a few sort of personal issues and also injuries. And this, again, as a team, but also as a number of individuals, the perfect game for him. I think he's been really, really good. He does deserve it. There would have been a little bit of luck in it, but I think Chelsea would deserve the luck. Alejandro Garnacho would be thinking that he deserved to do with the movement of coming from outside to in, taking the touch, having the shot, hitting the post, and then it's come back out to Estevao. Let me tell you, I was looking at the referee's assistant. He didn't put the flag up straight away. The referee was looking to him. There was clear communication between the two. I don't think they were 100% sure. But at least with VAR, love it or loathe it. And with offside, it's either yes or no, isn't it?